Devin Haney, JoJo Diaz Jr., December 4th, ESPN reports it will happen next. This is breaking news. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. I do not know how you found my video, but somehow, some way, you made it. So you encourage others to find the content. Smash the like button. Takes a few seconds. Let's get into the conversation. ESPN, Mike Coppinger, sources, the Devin Haney JoJo Diaz fight will take place December 4th in Las Vegas on DAZN. I cannot wait for this one, he says. Listen, it got quiet for a minute. Typically in boxing, that could be a good thing, because when it's boisterous and you hear a lot of people on social media and every step of the way, every little step I take, and you hear about everything that's going on and who said what and the money split, that's usually not a good deal. Big deals are typically facilitated behind closed doors. And it sounds like this fight is on the way. So kudos to Eddie Hearn and Devin Haney Promotions and Golden Boy. If this is in fact true, it's looking good. And I love the fight. I want to see it. Devin Haney, he is often solicited and requested the biggest fights. Now, before I get into this, let me talk a little bit of sense into my audience. There's a lot of people that they're not really logical in boxing. Rolly Romero, he had to withdraw from his fight. I made a video, check that video. And all of a sudden you have a bunch of fans playing promoter. And the problem with that is majority of the fans who are playing promoter, they're making matches like, oh, Gary Russell and Gervonta Davis. Oh, Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis. These are big fights. These are big fights. First of all, Gervonta Davis and Gary Russell, that's really an East Coast fight where they're from, the DMV area, the Baltimore, Maryland area, right? They're doing, Gervonta already has the Staples Reserve because it was supposed to be Rolly Romero, right? And then I'm seeing stuff like, you know, people just saying, oh, Devin Haney, Tank needs to fight Devin Haney, which I know Eddie Hearn, he threw Devin Haney's name in the hat, but you know that's not going to happen on short terms with the fallout of one fight and then have this inter-promotional fight with Devin Haney and Tank happen with little time to really prepare. Like, it's already November 1st, and December 4th and December 5th is literally a month away. And more often than not, boxing has showed me that's not realistic. Literally one of the only times I can think of where this happened on short terms, I believe, was Lennox Lewis when he ended up fighting Vitaly Klitschko. That wasn't originally the fight, and I think the fight was put together on 2 weeks' notice. And even though it turned out to be a great scrap and a legendary win and a legendary heavyweight fight, I don't know how big Vitaly Klitschko was at that given moment. Like, people didn't even know the Klitschko's like that. So they just brought him in and switched the opponent or whatever. But that wasn't originally supposed to be it. So a lot of people who were clamoring from Devin Haney, I mean, partly to blame is Eddie Hearn because he's the one that made that a conversation point. But it makes no sense, and especially when we find out that Devin Haney, according to ESPN, has agreed to fight with JoJo Diaz. So how are you going to throw Devin Haney's name in a hat, a Hail Mary play like that, knowing you're already in the middle of literally Eddie Hearn put out the interview not too long ago, and then days later it comes out that Devin Haney is going to end up fighting JoJo Diaz. So that wasn't logical. And on my channel, I try my best to speak the truth and give you accurate, reliable information. So I had to make that little rant about how fans, I mean, we could do fantasy fights all day, but what's realistic? Now, Devin Haney, JoJo Diaz, realistic. Now let's talk about that. Devin Haney, DAZN, he's actually a promotional free agent, but he's been fighting on DAZN. And if you listen to Bill Haney when they had the conversation with Teofimo when they ran up on him, he's like, man, we'll fight you next or whatever. Get past Cambosos. And Bill Haney kept saying, let's do it on DAZN. Let's do it on DAZN. So even though he's not permanently tethered to DAZN, so to speak, it looks like that's where Devin Haney will be fighting, at least for some fights. You know, they have a great relationship there. So I like the fight. I love the fight. JoJo Diaz, back-to-back fights. Most likely Gervonta's going to fight the Mexican Mike Tyson, Isaac Cruz. I made a video about that, so check that video on the channel. And then days before, you're going to have Devin Haney and JoJo Diaz. It's looking like great fight. I do believe that this Golden Boy's hand was forced in this equation. I strongly believe that. I think Golden Boy, had it not been for channels like mine and the actual pressure from Team Haney, I don't think they would have made this fight, because before the fight, before Ryan Garcia pulled out of the fight, Oscar De La Hoya was making mention that we're going to just do Ryan Garcia and JoJo Diaz, so, you know, enjoy that. Be satisfied with that. And he's like, Devin Haney, he needs a better promoter. So that we already knew that was cap. And I told you, man, I just thought about it. The great ego Stradamus strikes again. I tell you, I've been in boxing so long. I study. I know their moves before they make them. De La Hoya just said that Devin Haney, the reason he can't get Ryan Garcia is because he needs a better promoter. But then you're working with him 2 fights in a row, the same promoter and the same team. So that just shows that they're protecting Ryan Garcia. Because Devin Haney's last fight was a Golden Boy fighter, Jorge Linares, and now it's looking like, according to the new reports, it's going to be another Golden Boy fighter, JoJo Diaz. So they're fully capable. All that, like, oh, he needs a better promoter and he needs to prove himself. All that is a scapegoat to blame something for you not making the fight. And I told you that, and now we see it. Because if JoJo Diaz can fight Devin Haney, then Ryan Garcia in the last 2 years or so since the back and forth has been going on could have been brewing. But after losing Canelo, their next biggest star, I guess, in terms of followers, is Ryan Garcia. So De La Hoya is not trying to put that in. But I still think the plans get shuffled, because now there was this pressure when Ryan pulled out. People are like, all right, the show must go on. Who's JoJo Diaz going to fight? He's been back and forth with Devin Haney. Devin Haney's calling him out. Make the fight. And then now I think they were forced to make the fight with Devin Haney. So should be a good one. I think Golden Boy was really backed up against the wall, and they had no choice but to really make this fight, because JoJo had said, oh, let's fight in October, November, and there had been back and forth banter. He's the mandatory. There's really no reason for him not to fight Devin Haney. And then, especially when Eddie Hearn came out and said, we've matched the money you were going to make and generate for the Ryan Garcia fight. It's on the same platform that he was already going to fight Ryan Garcia, most likely. There's really no reason for it not to happen. I mean, the Golden Boy and JoJo Diaz would look extremely bad, because Golden Boy as a promoter, they would have to front the money or whatever to pay JoJo Diaz. Now they could be co-promoters and let it be a rematch room Eddie Hearn show, and your fighter still gets the same amount of money. So to me, it'd be bad advice to tell him to wait for Ryan Garcia, especially when Canelo Alvarez just did an interview with Complex and said Ryan has talent, but he's wasting and squandering his talent because he's not disciplined and super dedicated, and we got to tell him to come to the gym. So for JoJo Diaz to stagnate his career or wait around, that would be foolish. It would be foolish to wait around and hope Ryan Garcia is ready to fight JoJo Diaz, or a tough fight like that for Ryan in spring of 2022. So I think this is the right move. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Great fight. I'll continue to keep you guys posted on this. And I'm out. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.